In this lesson, we are going to take a look at how we can insert blocks in AutoCAD. First, before we look at how to do it, let's talk about why we do it. There's basically three main reasons that we insert blocks. First, when you have a block, it's one selectable object. That makes it easier to move it or copy it or use any other editing command on it. Another reason to use blocks is reduced file size. Having many pieces of geometry joined together to be one block actually takes up less file size than having each individual object. The final reason is for standardized components. For example, in this drawing I intend to place some doors. If I have several different people at my firm using doors, I don't want them each creating their own doors. First of all, it takes a lot of time and resources for everybody to draw their own doors, and second of all, everybody might draw them a little bit differently. Using blocks makes things faster and easier and ensures consistency throughout drawings. To insert blocks, we are going to open up the Blocks palette. Before I get into the Blocks palette, I do want to show you that here on the Home tab, in the Block panel is the Insert tool. If I click the Insert tool, I get a drop-down of the blocks stored in this drawing. This makes for quick access to the blocks stored in this drawing. However, if we open up the Blocks palette, we see a lot more options. I go to the View tab, and in the Palettes section, I open up Blocks. My Blocks palette appears with three different tabs: Current Drawing, Recent, and Other Drawing. We'll start by looking at Current Drawing. The Current Drawing tab displays all of the local blocks, that is, all of the blocks that have been defined locally in this drawing. Before placing a block, I want to think about what layer I want it to go in. For example, I want the doors to go into a doors layer. So I'm going to return to the Home tab and set a doors as my current layer. To place a block, I simply select it in the palette. And as you can see, it previews next to my mouse. There's an insertion point that has been specified, and you can see that's where my crosshairs are. The insertion point is specified in the block creation process. Next, I can just simply use object snaps to click to place it in any location that I wish. Next, we'll take a look at several of the options that are available to us. In the lower portion of the palette, I have several different insertion options, and I want to begin with the rotation option. If I choose the rotation option, I can rotate the object after I bring it in. So with the checkbox selected, I'm going to bring in a block. And as you can see, it looks just like it did last time, but I'll click to place it, and then I'm instantly in the rotate command. So in this case, I'll rotate it straight down. I'm going to erase this door and do it one more time and take a look at another option here. So this time I want to actually specify my rotation ahead of time. So I'll clear the checkbox and specify an angle here. So in this case, I'll put in 270 degrees. Now when I select my block, you can see that it's already been rotated and I can click to place it. In addition to being able to change the rotation angle, you can also change the scale of objects as you bring them in. Now in this particular case, all of the doors and windows have been made full scale, so it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to scale them as they're brought in, but we'll take a look at the options anyways. If I select the scale option, then similar to the rotate, after I click to place the door, it's going to jump straight into the scale command. And as you can see, it can scale differently in each direction. I'm going to clear the checkbox there, and alternatively I can put in a value. If I want to make sure that it scales the same way in all three directions, then I can change the drop down to uniform scale, and then I'll just have one value here. Let's say I want to go half size. Now you can see as I bring the block in that it's half the size that it was originally. I have to remember before I place the next one to change the scale back to 1. I also might want to change my angle back to 0. I'm going to switch back to the scale option and take a look at how we can mirror blocks. We can actually mirror blocks by putting in a negative scale value. So for example, if I put in a negative X factor, it will mirror it horizontally. So as you can see, as I bring in my door, it's now flipped the other direction. I'm going to change that back to a positive 1 and adjust the Y to be negative. This time I'll see that it mirrors it vertically. And of course I can set them both to negative and it will mirror them both directions. If you find yourself with the need to place a block multiple times, we can use the repeat placement option. I'm going to select a window, then click to place it. And as you can see, it remains in the block, just like I'm using the copy command here in AutoCAD, and I can go ahead and place several different copies without having to restart the command. Finally, as I bring a block in, I can explode it. And exploding a block basically will break it up into its individual segments. So when I place a window now, you can see that it is all separate little segments. Keep in mind that when I do that, I've lost all benefits of blocks. So you want to make sure you have a good reason to explode a block as you bring it in. Here in the Blocks palette, we have the Recent tab, and this will show me all blocks that I've used recently, even blocks from other drawings. So this can be a very convenient way to get back to blocks that you use often. I can also insert blocks from other drawings. So here on the Other Drawings tab, I am going to bring in a dining room table for my kitchen here. So up top, I'll choose the little ellipses button, the 3 dots, and then I'll browse for the particular file that I want to insert. In this case, it'll be this dining table. And you can see when you choose a drawing, you can bring the overall drawing in, or if that drawing has blocks inside of it, you can bring one of those blocks in. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in the entire block here. Notice that it exploded because I still have explode checked, so I'm going to undo that and then make sure I clear that checkbox and then bring the dining room table in again. So in addition to bringing in an entire drawing, we can also bring in blocks that are stored in a drawing. I'm going to browse for another file here. I'm going to choose my kitchen and bath block library. And you can see in this particular case, I can choose the overall drawing or each individual block that was stored within that drawing. So if I want to bring in a range for my kitchen, I can do so. And so on with the other blocks here. So to recap, we have our Blocks palette, 3 different tabs, Current Drawing, that shows all the blocks that are currently stored in this drawing. Notice that the ones that I've inserted are now showing up in the current drawing. Got the Recent tab to show me all the recent blocks that I've used, regardless of what drawing they came from. And then the Other Drawings tab, where I can pull in another drawing in its entirety or just the blocks stored inside of it. That concludes this look at inserting blocks with the Blocks palette in AutoCAD.